Welcome to Eudemonia Live 2026. I'm Dr. Nestor Rodriguez, ER physician and co-founder of Carbon World Health, and I'm joined by Dr. Julius Thomas, former Pro Bowl tight end turned doctor. Today, we're diving into the hurdles of mental and physical wellness, what it really costs to be a high performer, and how to pursue excellence without losing everything that matters along the way. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Let's get into it.
So when I left academics, it was the same thing. You're gonna suck. What do you mean? You're the top of your academic ladder. Why would you leave?
Yep.
But it was that, no, I need to do differently.
At 26 years old, I had $1 million house on both coasts. I had all the cars that I wanted. I had fame, status, access. And I was like, where's the nirvana? Everybody can tell you what to do good. There's nothing special about what I'm saying. Just like you went to study medicine, I went to study clinical psych. We weren't the only people in those classes.
Correct.
But how can I help you move through what's blocking you?
Right.
To change your behaviors? That's where I focus the work of helping people to shape behavioral change.
And then that's so for like our audience or our clients, because they're used to us dealing with pro athletes and seeing their mindset and get excited about it. What made you like that switch, right? Because I always talk to athletes. I'm like, hey, not to poke fun at NFL, but not for long, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to do something.
real.
How are you going to
That's
leverage
reality.
it? What are you going to do? What made you say this is a space that I see a gap in that I want to go into? Like, where'd that come from?
Man, it really came from feeling like I had it all and then not getting the emotional experience that I thought was supposed to come. Like as athletes, it's weird, man. Like at 26 years old, I had $1 million house on both coasts. I had all the cars that I wanted. I had fame, status, access. And I was like, where's the nirvana?
Right.
You taught me as a kid growing up in America that like, if I get the stuff, then it's going to feel good in here. And I was like, damn, something's broken.
Right.
That belief that I was taught and we were conditioned to have it didn't work. So I was like, I'm suffering. Shit. Well, I need to do something specifically to help with the suffering. And then so I went on this journey of understanding who I was on the inside.
Oh.
I had physical health.
Right.
And I look at them as buckets: physical, mental, and emotional. My physical bucket was like a pool.
Right.
My mental bucket was like a pitcher. And my emotional one was like a solo cup with nothing in it. And I was like, wait, I have to build all three of these areas of who I am. And then I was understanding suffering, and I started to look around and be like, wait, it's just not me.
Right.
Everybody's suffering. And so I would always say, somebody should help that guy. Somebody should help that guy. And after 2 years, the spirit tapped me on the shoulder. It was like, you're going to be the somebody.
Nice.
And so I had a decision to make: keep playing football or leave the game to go do what I felt like I was called to do. And that's when I decided to go back to school and pursue a doctorate in clinical psych.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because that's the thing, right? That nagging, if something's stirring in you, like you got to run with it, right? Because it's like God telling you, or if you're not really, like someone's telling you to go ahead and do it.
For me, I'm a person of faith. And, I was actually a college basketball player.
Okay.
And so I went to
you were
college
saying on
on a college basketball scholarship. And I'm like, wait, if you trusted God when he was telling you to go try football out, and it made you one of the top players in the NFL, highest paid in the league in your position, will you trust him again if you need to walk away from all that?
Okay, that's right.
And so for anybody that grows up in faith, right, like, are you willing to give up the world to go do the thing for others? And so for me, I was like, no, I'm not going to stop trusting just because now I got the stuff.
Right.
I'm going to follow it. And it's been one of the most important, hardest decisions I've ever made, but the most valuable, because every night I go to bed and I know how many people I helped every day. Just like this conversation we're having, right? Like, we're having it so that we can have a greater ability to help people.
Correct. No, that's awesome. And that's the thing, right? When they talk about God surrendering, and everyone's like, what does that mean? It's not necessarily, and I struggle with that, right?
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you that. Do you think, me being Latino, I'm a first generation immigrant, I'm the first one to go to high school, and I joke around, our pastor last week, it's like, we'll put in a rock right down in one side where God's helped you that you already forgot, but like he helped you create that. And I put jail to Yale, because I went to Yale, not like what I was supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And he said it because you forget. You forget that he got you there, right? He gave you the strength to make that leap. And all of a sudden now when you're worried about all this other stuff, you're like, how am I going to do it? So when I left academics, it was the same thing. You're going to suck. what do you mean you're the top of your academic ladder? Why would you leave?
Yep.
But it was that, no, I need to do differently. So to that point, do you think your upbringing or even just your rate, like how much does that add to the pressure of, I don't know where I'm going?
First off, I'm not even supposed to be a doctor. Just like I'm sure that the statistics said you're not supposed to be a doctor.
Right.
I graduated from high school with a 2.7 GPA. None of my boys that I grew up with even went to college. So like just going to college, graduated from college, I was already like, okay, I outperformed what was expected of me.
Right.
When I went back to graduate school, it was the most anxiety I ever had in my life.
Oh, wow.
Because every day I walked into that class, I thought, you're not supposed to be here. No one here looks like you. And do you have what it takes to compete intellectually at the highest level? And I had proven I could do it physically, but could I do it intellectually? And I remember I had this bracelet and it said, just go for it.
Okay.
And I would pray and I would look at this bracelet and I would pray and I would look at this bracelet. And that was my first 2 years of graduate school.
Oh, wow.
Was just helping myself move through the doubt, right? And I always say, when the doubt gets really noisy, that's usually the devil trying to keep you from going the direction God wants you to go.
Exactly. And you know, when you were speaking, like the intentionality, right? Because we could look at it as a way of like, well, that's what I should be, or that's where I want to go, or, and I actually carry a little, I'll show you. I normally I give them out, but I ran out of them, but carry a little Jesus with me now. And like every time I speak or do something, because it's is it really God telling me that, or is it the world, or is it the devil that's trying to tell me, right? Like, but you have to, if you don't think about it that way, you're gonna fall into that trap, and you're gonna do into that. So, especially as men, what would you say are the biggest roadblocks, like in your practice and what you do? And we'll get a little bit into like exactly what you guys do.
No worries.
But what do you think? Obviously, you were in the menopause talk,
and
that was that, right? Because we think about transformation, we think about our next step, but in that, we're saying like, well, then our values on our next best thing versus. I like reverse engineering it, and I've only done this like 2 years, and the reason it started was from like from a family and from God perspective, where I said, okay, a year from now with my wife, what do we want to be as Christians?
Yeah,
you can't just go to church, right? Or every time I'd be like, but do you want to come to a prayer like service? And like, yeah, but those dudes are not like me. Like it's weird. They're older. And we're like, all right, take the emotion out. If in 2 years we want to be a role model for our kids or our family, what does that look like, and how do we? Then that roadblock of my mental thing went away, at least for me. What do you see in your practice, like the biggest roadblock for men to be like overcome and take what you do seriously?
What's the biggest roadblock to overcoming for men? I think it's so I have a saying, and I always say I help people win the battle within.
Okay.
It's always the battle within. We love to, as men, take on external challenges. Go lift the thing, go build the thing, right? We always want our challenges to come external, but we know that the hardest challenge for men is internal.
Right.
And that's where we feel most vulnerable, most weak, and most unprepared. When I went to school to study psychology, I had no tools for the inside. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I have to do is I have to equip people with some people don't like the language, but I don't care, the weapons to win that battle within.
Right.
But when no one ever gave you your metaphorical sword or stick, now you're like, I'm trying to go into this battle with nothing to protect myself with.
Right.
So one of the things that I do is I try to educate men about what's happening on the inside. I normalize it, and then I help give them skills. Here's your skills. You call it a weapon, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And then when you have it, now you're like, oh, now I can go into this challenge with some things that are going to help me get through it. And then the other thing you need is belief.
Right.
Everything comes down to belief.
Right.
Everybody's like, yeah, but how do you help me with confidence? I'm like, no, it's not really confidence you need. Confidence comes when you know you're really good.
Correct.
The confidence isn't going to be there that first or second time you do it.
Right.
You need to believe that you have what it takes to keep going even when it's really hard.
Right.
And so one of the number one things I like to equip men with, and it actually is kind of counterintuitive, because we stopped talking about it as men. Like, I don't know about you, but I love to study philosophy.
Yep.
There was a time on earth when every young boy, every young man grew up understanding the need for courage. But it's a thing we don't talk about enough.
Right.
And so oftentimes I tell men, you don't need confidence, you need courage. Courage is greater than confidence, because courage can be there when you're afraid and you step into it. And it didn't catch me, but when you look at human life across the millennia, that's why they never stopped talking about courage. They knew how important it was.
Yeah.
But how often do men talk to young men about courage now?
None.
It's crazy. You never hear the word courage.
Yeah, right. It's just go, right? Don't quit.
Yeah,
we're
we're trying to make people's feelings go away before they start.
Correct.
I'll give you a perfect example. I was putting my son to bed 3 nights ago. And he says, Dad, I'm scared. Dad, I'm afraid. It's dark up there. So I stopped him. I said, okay, where do you feel the fear? He said, Dad, it's like it's here. I said, and how do you move through fear? My son looked at me and said, with courage. I said, so I can't take the fear away from you in that room, but I can tell you that courage is going to help you go in your room and go to sleep. And I can let you know that nothing's going to come in this house and get you, because I'm sitting here on this couch watching the game. And so I just had to give him courage. Sometimes we think we have to remove the fear. It's never going to work.
Right.
And so these are some of the things that I see in men.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, and that's the thing, just recently, like we talk about emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And for me, buckets, where it was, a lot of times we say, all right, we want to recognize the emotions of other people, but not ours, right? Like, well, we got it.
Yep.
Or in professionally, it works as well, but personally it doesn't. And one of my mentors recently told me, is like, you think about it, and that's what's crazy, is I could mentor anyone, right? Like, we can give advice like crazy as specialists and providers, but can you share that same with your kids, right? Why is it that, like, our most important people, we had the biggest struggle on how do we articulate that? It's courage, is the lack of even talking about it, or just admitting that you can or are uncomfortable, right?
Right, so let's use that example with my son, right? And then the people that we work with. The first thing is, he has the emotional awareness to say it's fear.
Right.
Right? He starts off that way. We all do. But why does a 47-year-old client that you have not use the word fear for why he's not having that difficult conversation with his wife about what he needs to improve as a man? It's fear.
Correct.
You're afraid.
Correct.
It's okay to be afraid to talk to your wife.
Correct. You're
but we don't say it.
Correct.
But my son's at the age where I can help him get really good at overcoming specifically fear.
Okay.
And then I got to go through anger. I got to go through sadness, right? Life is going to make us move, or not make us, it's going to give us this opportunity to move through that emotion. Right. We have to get good at mastering it. Jealousy, right? Envy, right? These spiritual challenges. Okay, envy has showed up for you. How are you going to move through envy in a way that is aligned with the character you want to have?
Right.
And so that's what we're helping men do.
That's awesome. Yeah, because that's the thing, they talk about outcomes. Like, the outcomes are based on the event and how you respond to it. Right? The events are going to happen.
Yeah.
It's over how you respond that is. I have a personal example. Recently, I just tore both of my tricep tendons. So 2 weeks ago, I'm out of braces, but I was like this since April.
Yeah.
So not only did that take me out of the hospital, but it was God's pause, because I was like, go, right? Now our business has grown. I've been able to, like, rekindle some of the stuff. I wrote a book that I'm about to publish about selling out or assimilating as, like, culturally, because all these things in my head, right? Yeah. And then finally it became like, yeah, but I have control of that response, right? And with this arm, one of my buddies, my wife started taking dance classes.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be for us, but I got hurt.
Yeah.
So she continued, right?
Yeah.
She continued competing. And now I get annoyed. I'm like, damn, you're taking 3 times, right? And what I really was trying to say is, like, I feel insecure. You're dancing with another guy. Yeah. You're not spending time with me, right? But I didn't want to say that, right?
Yeah.
And my mentor is like, but if you were on top of the world before April, would you have cared? I'm like, damn, you're right. I probably wouldn't have, because I would have been either part of it, or I would have been like, cool, that's her thing. But, like, we just can't. We don't know how to respond to that. And it takes someone to do it. To put you in that space, which I think that's why I love what you're doing. And when I heard you speak on that, because we can't do it ourselves, right? Yeah. And so run me through a process. Say I wanted to work with you guys. How does that look? What does that journey look like?
Yeah, so it's actually very interesting, because just completed my doctorate last month.
Oh, congrats.
So this is my first time.
Guys, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, doctor.
It's my first time now being able to be fully committed to my business. Everything I've been doing in the past was like splitting the time. And so what I typically do is speaking. So I'll do keynotes, I'll do workshops. I do coaching for individuals, and then I do consulting for leaders and their teams. So
Okay.
my philosophy is the dual mandate. It's just like the Fed. The Fed's like, yo, we got to have maximum price stability and maximum employment. And if one dips, you got to keep them aligned.
Right.
So optimal performance, we have a dual mandate: maximum performance and maximum preventative health.
Okay.
And I help leaders do it individually for themselves, and then I also can help them do it for their teams. So if I'm doing executive coaching, I'll start working with the coach, and then we'll start building their mental, their emotional, their physical, their relational. And then once we have them ready and they're able to step into their performance, then we can even help them with their teams. So how do we make sure your teams are optimally performing? Right? Like, how much is costing a team, an organization, when people are stressed out, they're depressed, they're anxious, or they're burnt out?
Right.
So I help leaders with that, because no one in business school taught them how to have sustainable, healthy mental teams.
Right.
But what I'm looking to do now is start to partner with more people in the health space to be able to bring the mental. Like, my thing is outsource your mind and brain science. You got to find somebody to do it.
Right.
I love partnering. Everything I've ever done has been on the team.
Right.
And so now I'm really into the space of collaborating, right? If I want to help people be optimal, I got to have enough humility to say it's just not me.
Right.
I need other aspects of multidisciplinary teams to be able to do it. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be here today, is so I can start meeting people like yourself. Wow, that's what you're doing? That's awesome. That's how you're supporting people. All right, what can we do together?
Right.
Kind of stuff.
No, and even as you say that, and I know Ken behind the scenes already thinking of it, because all the groups we do, that's what we promote, right? Optimization. Because oftentimes, even in the menopause, like, you oftentimes think of mental health or mental space as like, I have a disease.
Yeah.
Like, no, like, we might.
Yeah.
But like, that's like later down that line, right?
Yep.
Like, how do I get you in this framework to push forward? And that's why my question that I asked you guys is, like, in my life, it's been like these recurring things that, like, I should have known that I was going down the wrong path,
Yep.
right? Everyone around me was like, yep, I see it. So now I empowered them to tell me, hey, if you start seeing that I'm doing X, Y, and Z, yeah, check in with me, because that is something that
That's
I go
awesome.
to, right?
Yeah.
And it's that of the learning of process. But we could do a lot of, like, outside of this. Oh man, we could partner and do some cool stuff.
Yeah, I think it's funny that it's the recurring things that often happen. One of the things that I help people do is recognize, like, what's the thing that's been getting in your way, right? Like, imagine you learning something new. There's some stage in this, you trying to get better, that has come to, like, trip you up in everything you've ever done to try to get better.
Correct.
Sometimes it's people's thoughts. Sometimes it's people's emotion. Sometimes it's people's belief about who they are and where they came from. And that keeps getting in the way.
Right.
And so my thing is, recurring things often happen. And recurring things will make us slip up again and again.
Right.
So how do we overcome obstacles? That's, for me, that's winning the battle within. What is happening here? What's happening here? And how can I keep overcoming it?
Right.
And if I can make people aware that, like, yo, here's your pattern. How do I equip you with what you need? So when you see that coming up again, you're like, oh, wait, here it is.
Yep.
Here's what I do to overcome it.
Yeah. And that's a game changer, because even, like, personally speaking, right, like, you feel it, and if you don't conceptualize it, then it eats you up to finally you do something dumb, for example,
Yep.
right? Or you suffer, or you lose something.
Yeah.
When you're like, damn, did I have to go through that? Like, why? Right?
I call it the cost of performance. Not enough people talk about it, right? And I keep it real with people. Performance is hard, man. It will chew you up. It will beat you up. I've been a high performer and chasing performance my whole life. I've been around some of the greatest performers. When you chase performance, it usually costs people their mental, their physical, their emotional, or their relational.
Yep.
How many people you know that are great performers, but they're on family number 3?
Correct. Yeah.
Or they've been depressed for so long that they got all the stuff you would want in life and they can't enjoy it.
Correct.
Or, they're too
For their health.
they've put so much focus on trying to build a business that now they have 2-3 chronic diseases.
Correct.
So
Correct.
performance is risky business. And when
Correct.
you want to be absolute best, you need to make sure you're aware of how it can cost you, and then you want to start preventing it. And that's what I imagine you spend so much of your time focused
Yeah.
on. It's like you're a medical doctor. You know how to treat, but we know that treats are not cures.
Correct.
So you're like, trust me, you're asking the people and the clients that you work with just trust you to keep from getting there.
correct.
I'm doing
Correct.
the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, because that is the important part. I think that's how you change the narrative. Then you
Yeah.
take males, and then you take, honestly, you throw race into it. It's a whole different ball game of like what you have to deal with.
Yep.
And part of the book was like I took every concept and I'm like, okay, if I didn't put because people say it's a race car, why are you doing it? In my mind, just take language, right? Like I was from El Salvador. So people say, learn English. I'm like, yeah, but why won't you learn Spanish if you want to get to know my family, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
Or I want to do echelon, so I'm not going to have kids, right?
Yeah.
Or like all these things we talk about. And then if you don't think or have anyone to talk to, they eat you up.
Yeah.
Pretty soon you're at that top mountain. And you're like, shit, all this stuff I gave up for what?
Well, and
Like at that point.
the crazy part is the awareness of what you suffered through and what you sacrificed. It doesn't hit until you get to the top. When you're climbing, you're focused, right? Next step. Where's the next handhold? Then you get to the top, take that deep breath, you look out and you see everything. And the next thing is existential hits you of like, wow, what this cost me to get up here?
Right.
Did it cost my relationship with my second child?
Yep.
How many people you know that have been in that
Oh
spot?
yeah, tons. Yeah.
Has it cost me, a relationship I had with a great friend? Like, there is so much cost to this performance. And I always tell people, I want to encourage people to be high performers, but I don't want to sell it. Because if I'm selling it to you, I'm going to hide the parts that are risky.
Yeah, that you don't want to hear about.
Yeah,
so to
because
speak,
I know it might make you not buy.
Right.
I don't wanna tell nobody performance. But if you want it and you're truly committed to this and it matters to you, then I'm going to help you go do it. And I'm going to help you go do it by preventing as much of that cost of performance as we can. Sometimes, man, I have a client runs a big billion-dollar function of the business for the company he works with. I mean, we spent 3 weeks and we have like weekly calls just talking about his marriage.
Right.
Just how can I help you with that? Because if we lose this,
Everything else.
else is coming
yeah,
behind it.
And when we don't have those opportunities, those spaces to talk. So
Yeah.
no, that's awesome. I don't want to keep you too much
No,
on
it's
the
okay,
time,
yeah.
brother. No, I appreciate it. This is what's
thank you.
up.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Eudemonia Live 2026. Thank you to Dr. Julius Thomas for sharing his journey, his wisdom, and his commitment to helping high performers thrive, mind, body, and soul. Until next time, keep pursuing excellence and take care of the whole you.